Falmouth Community Television's coverage of town meeting is sponsored by the following corporate underwriters. Holiday Inn Falmouth opened year-round for your business and travel needs. We provide a full restaurant and accommodations for banquets, holiday parties, weddings, corporate events, seminars, and more. Featuring KC Bar and Grill, where guests or Falmouth residents can enjoy our selection of local craft beers, cocktails, and a variety of pub food from our menu. Holiday Inn Falmouth, your home away from home.
Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce. The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
And I'm Margaret Gifford, and we're from Sotheby's International Realty.
And you know, Margaret, I think the word that best describes this real estate market this year is opportunistic.
I think that's a great word to describe what the real estate market's doing now.
I think it is also, and that says if you're a seller, by golly, get your house ready correctly.
And if you're a buyer, do your homework.
So if you want to be part of this opportunistic real estate market, jump
on that horse.
Carlson Printing for all your printing needs. 508-548-7303 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303. Our email address is carlsonprinting@aol.com. Carlson Printing for all your printing needs.
Hosting services for fctv.org are provided by Meganet Communications. Meganet offers a wide array of internet services including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server colocation, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their #1 goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net. Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors. Inn on the Sound, located at 313 Grand Avenue in Falmouth Heights, offering luxurious accommodations, gourmet breakfasts, and spectacular ocean views. Inn on the Sound, an active participant in community affairs since 2006.
Barrett Plumbing and Heating offers expert plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services to all our residential and commercial customers on Cape Cod and surrounding area. We are a full-service plumbing specialist offering professional workmanship to suit your budget. Whatever your heating or plumbing need, you can always count on a job that's done right.
Dogs and Hogs, family owned and operated for over 5 years. Our slow smoke barbecue is available for dine-in, pickup, or catering. We also serve beer and wine, have gluten-free options, and lobster rolls, just in time for summer.
RJ's Variety and Liquor, family owned and operated for 15 years. We have a variety of beer, wine, and liquor, local frozen stuffed quahogs, local frozen pizza snacks, and more. RJ's Variety and Liquor, 174 Sandwich Road, T-Ticket. The attorneys at Oppenheim & Nickerson LLP have provided legal services in Falmouth for over 36 years. We advocate for our clients and work to provide quality representation in the areas of business and corporate law, real estate law, estate planning, and estate administration. 508-548-8255.
We at Falmouth Fish believe there is nothing better than a fresh piece of fish, direct from the waters of Cape Cod in New England. Nothing beats waking up at 4 a.m. to search out the highest quality seafood from the best fishermen in the world.
7 Stars Academy, offering martial arts and Tai Chi. Training at 7 Stars Academy can transform your life. It's amazing to see the positive impact it has on our students. Classes for adults and children of all ages. Confidence, not conflict, at 7 Stars Academy of Martial Arts.
After nearly 10 years in business, the Green Shuttle has been your choice to get to and from area airports. But did you know they also offer trips to Boston and Providence, medical appointments, theater, dinner, or tours? The Green Shuttle does it all with no wait time, no parking costs, and no hidden fees. Ride easy with Green Shuttle. Hamilton Tree and Landscape has been proudly serving Falmouth and the Upper Cape since 1978. Our newest location on Route 151 is now open for all landscaping and tree concerns. Appreciating your property is our motto as we continue to keep your tree and landscaping needs our top priority. At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944.
Calfee Insurance, offering insurance policies for your car, home, business, life, and disability. Calfee cares about all your insurance needs. 508-540-2601 and online at calfeeinsurance.com.
Thomas J. Bunker and Jeffrey E. Reither are BSS Design, providing land surveying and civil engineering in Falmouth since 1987. Licensed and fully insured, they're located on Catherine Lee Bates Road, and their phone number is 540-8805.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. With a newly renovated dining room, it's what an Irish pub should be. Main Street, downtown Falmouth. Bayside Kitchen and Bath at 419 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders, offering a full range of cabinetry, countertops, and faucets. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. With a newly added retail space providing kitchen accessory and gourmet foods, our friendly staff is available to assist you with your hardware and kitchen needs. 508-540-0407.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal, recycling, and composting to local businesses in Falmouth and surrounding communities. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 508-563-5070. Family owned since 1919, at Puritan Cape Cod you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment and much more. Located on Main Street, Falmouth, and in Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis. Puritan Cape Cod, 199 Main Street, Falmouth, and online at puritanCapeCod.com.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations.
Partners Technology, Voice and Data Solutions, 781-930-5000. Waquoit Congregational Church, 508-548-5269. Barnes Custom Builders, 774-487-2129. Annie Hart-Cool, Global Real Estate Advisor, Sotheby's International Realty, 508-868-0664. St. Elizabeth Seton Church, 508-563-7770. Vincent Associates, 159 Main Street, Town Hall Square, 508-548-6500. Falmouth Flag Day 5K, Falmouth Education Foundation 2018. Soares Flower Garden Nursery, Design, Construction, and Maintenance, 508-548-5288. M. Duffany Builders, 508-540-3625. The Wood Lumber Company, 81 Locust Street, 508-548-3154. Danny's Barbershop in East Falmouth, 508-548-6013. Carl F. Cavosa Excavating Incorporated, 508-563-5530. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electric, residential, commercial, industrial, TV studio, and motion picture, 508-564-7507. Murray and McDonald Insurance, 1-800-800-8990. Davy Tree Expert Company, 508-548-2662. Andy's Barbershop in the Falmouth Plaza. Chapman Colin Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, 508-548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center, 508-548-4842. The Cape Cod 5, 668 Main Street, 508-457-5252. The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, 469 Main Street, 508-495-5010. Falmouth Chimney Sweep, 508-540-0458. Martha's Vineyard Savings Bank, 508-627-4266. VIPS of Falmouth, Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More, 508-457-9454. FCTV also thanks the following: Shaw's, Roach Brothers, Stop and Shop, and Windfall Market.
Meeting members present, please come forward and take your seats. Don't forget to check in and get your electronic voting device. I want to remind all members to identify yourself by name and precinct each time you speak for the record. We left off last night with Article 27, so we'll pick up tonight with Article 29. We prepare a quorum slide. Oh, you got the slide up? Yeah, please. Okay, all town meeting members present, please come forward, take your seats. Let's go, folks. I don't want to be here tomorrow night. Okay, let's open the quorum roll call. All town meeting members present, please press 1A for the establishment of a quorum. 1A for the establishment of a quorum.
Watching this, I think most people.
Ten seconds left in the quorum call. Town meeting members present, please press 1A. Whoa. By a counted vote of 135, we have a quorum, and I call the annual town meeting back into session. All present, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This time I'll recognize Jim Vieira for the invocation.
O God, creator of us all, we ask your blessing on this town meeting. Let each one of us here this evening recognize our differences and our similarities. Let us listen to each other thoughtfully and guide us to vote on the issues before us with an open mind. We ask you to watch over our words and our debates so that the result of our meeting will be beneficial to all. Amen.
Remain standing for a moment of silence. You may be seated. Article 29. This is a petitioner's article dealing with voting, the electronic voting devices. The recommendation in the warrant was indefinite postponement. The petitioner is going to make a positive motion, and then I'm going to recognize briefly the Board of Selectmen for an updated recommendation that they made at a meeting after the warrant booklet went to print. So, Mr. McDonald, the main motion. I keep calling you Mr. McDonald. It's Malcolm Donald, sorry. Mr. Donald. I don't know why I do that.
Malcolm Donald, Precinct 6. On the screen is the main motion to amend the Code of Falmouth, Chapter 49-8-2, electronic voting, by inserting at the end of the section the following. Each time an approved electronic vote counting and recording system is used, the vote shall be considered a recorded roll call vote, and the recorded roll call vote shall be made available on the town website. And further, that Chapter 49-8-1 voice vote of the Code of Falmouth be amended by adding, after the words "a standing vote," the words "or electronic vote." I move.
Okay, that's the main motion, Mr. Chairman, if you want to, or Madam Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, the Board of Selectmen did discuss the motion as we understood it, at least the first paragraph. The second paragraph was not in the words that we had received the motion, so we're not sure exactly the effect of adding that in it. But our vote was that we are in support of the concept of this, but really feel that we'd like to wait for the Rules Procedure Committee to voice their opinion on it and wait to see what they say.
Okay, and just so town meeting members know that Mr. Donald did come to a town meeting Rules and Procedures Committee to present his concept from what was written in the warrant booklet, and that's where this motion came out. And the Rules and Procedures Committee felt the same way that the selectman just mentioned, that we should wait a little longer because we'd only use the devices at one town meeting, and we voted 5 in favor of indefinite postponement, 1 against indefinite postponement, and I abstained to be impartial, to be able to chair the article here at town meeting. So that was the recommendation of the Rules Committee. So, Mr. Donald.
Thank you. Yeah, oh, okay. I got control, huh? All right. Button on the right. Okay, here we go. Okay. As you see, there were 2 parts to the motion. The first paragraph of the motion makes the following changes. I've presented to you a section of the Falmouth Code, 49-8-2, electronic voting, and in black is the code as it currently reads, and the red is the amended verbiage that would be included if this article passes. So all we want to do here is add this last sentence each time an approved electronic vote counting and recording system is used. The vote shall be considered a recorded roll call vote, and the recorded roll call vote shall be made available on the town website. And the second change is to insert or electronic vote after the standing vote. You can see or electronic vote in red, and those are the 2 changes. I'd also like to thank the moderator for his help in putting this motion together, and so thanks. All right. So those are where the changes are that goes into the town code. All right. All right. This article, in a nutshell, asks for 2 things. We're asking for whenever there's a electronic vote in town meeting, we want to save the individual results of that vote. So in other words, we want to save how each individual town meeting member voted. And the second thing is we would like to have that information posted on the town website. And why do we want to do this? Well, for transparency purposes. Is there a problem? Oh, okay. Transparency, we'd like to have the public know how their legislative body is voting. And this is, goes along with helping us have more open government. And the public wants to know how its representatives vote. It was interesting, when I was canvassing for the 10 signatures that were required on this article, you know, I approached people on the sidewalk, and the first thing they said is, well, what are you selling? And then I said, no, I'm not selling anything. I have this article that I'm a petition for an article for town meeting, and they said, oh, what's it about? And then and then I start to explain, you know, how we have this really great voting system, and it can do a lot of things, and it's sort of like a Ferrari, but we're only driving it like a golf cart. And they said, and then I went furthermore in the explanation, then they cut me off and they said, oh, you mean this is for open government? And I said, yes. Oh, I'll sign it. I'm for that. And it was, you know, it was just incredible, the reaction to get, and these were just, you know, the average taxpayers or voters in the town of Falmouth. So anyway. Okay, so I think we're kind of familiar with how the electronic voting system works, and we've seen it, we've used it a couple of times in this town meeting, and as you saw, the town meeting moderator asked for electronic vote, and he's, you know, points to Mr. Bancroft, I believe it is. Well, anyway, he points to the IT department and to queue up the vote. And then we have 60 seconds to use our clickers to record the vote, yay or nay. Now, the electronic voting system knows exactly how Paul voted and how Susie and Tom and everybody voted. And so what it does, and after the 60 seconds, it totals up these votes and comes up with an aggregate total. There's 300, you know, there's 125 for and 200, I don't know, 175 against, or whatever the aggregate totals are. And then, you know, the town moderator says, you know, it either carries or it doesn't carry. And then the IT department hits the delete switch, and all that detail information about how each individual town meeting member voted gets dumped. Now, what this article would like wants to do is to retain that information. So when we use the electronic voting system, and only when we're using it, and we're not calling for any additional votes using that system, but we just want to keep the detail information so the public knows how each and every town meeting member votes. So when it comes time to assess their town meeting member or anybody, you know, do I like how they're voting, or are they voting the way do I want to support them? So, you know, this is what, so we want to keep the detail information. So essentially, the second slide just kind of goes through the same thing, and so the only difference is on step number 5, we're hitting the save button, and then the town clerk gets this information and it will be posted to the town website. So, you know, transparency, open government, and the public wants to know how you're all voting. So, and just show you the main motion again.
Okay, Ms. Wilson.
Thanks. Holly Wilson, Precinct 1. I really like this. I like that Malcolm contacted all of us to tell us about it and then contacted us with the change. In addition to the reasons why you wanted it to happen, I would like to have more participation from the people I'm supposed to be representing. And I don't hear from my constituents. And I would hope that this would make them speak to me in favor or against what I've done, but hopefully in advance of what I'm doing so that I would know. But I would also like to wait until the Rules and Procedures Committee has had a chance, and I would hope it would come up for November town meeting. I think as written, but I'm not a Rules and Procedures person, so thank you for doing this.
What would be the reason for waiting?
Mr. Dunn?
Because I trust our town's management. I trust our committee, and they're asking to do that, and I want them to be able to do their jobs as they see fit.
Okay, Mr. Keefe.
Brian Keefe, Precinct 4, Rules and Procedures Committee. I also served on the Electronic Voting Subcommittee that researched and implemented the devices that we are all now wearing. So just to be clear, I am speaking personally. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Rules and Procedures Committee. I'm not speaking on behalf of the Electronic Voting Subcommittee. And there is one particular point that I want to clarify. Does the petitioner's main motion and amendment require a charter change?
No. Any changes within the charter? No. So this is where, after reviewing the charter provisions and the bylaws, this is where I believe that we can affect the change that Mr. Donald told us after, he changed from every time we vote at town meeting to this every time we use the system. So it's not requiring that we use the system for every vote, which was sort of the way the original article was written. This is when we use the system, we will retain the vote, and therefore it just needs to appear in the bylaws.
Thank you for clarifying. So just as a reminder, Nick Lowell and Judy Fenwick served with me on the Electronic Voting Subcommittee, and we put in a total of 2 years worth of research into options in the marketplace, how to implement it, what it would cost, how to find the lowest cost alternative that met all of our needs, exactly what in terms of procedural charter changes, bylaw changes were necessary to implement this. We put a lot of research into this. We put a lot of thought into this. And at this point, I'm going to lead with saying that this challenge is premature. During that research process, we came up with every possible scenario imaginable. We came up with some pretty bizarre scenarios in terms of things that could possibly go wrong. Thankfully, none of those have come to bear, so I'm not going to say them out loud because I don't want to give anybody any ideas. So that being said, there was one very specific scenario that we had not imagined. And believe it or not, it actually came up last night. So last night, Mr. Bidwell actually challenged this body, and one of the conversations that we were having regarding the contract renewal for our chief of police. And the concern was that there was a little bit of a conflict in terms of speaking out very publicly against what turned out to be an endorsement for our chief of police, which it really shouldn't have been. It should have been about the policy and precedent that might have been setting. So there was a little bit of a challenge there. Our moderator made the decision to forego the voice vote, forego the possibility of a roll call vote, and elected to go directly to an aggregated counted vote anonymously so that we could all vote as we felt fit, regardless of our public exposure. So to move forward with the main motion and the amendment as proposed by Mr. Donald takes that authority away from the moderator. So again, I am very much in favor of open government. I'm very much in favor of transparency. However, it's premature. We need more time, and last night was the exact example that we need to cite as the Rules and Procedure Committee reconvenes and considers all of these different scenarios and how specifically we're going to react to them, both as a body and procedurally. And once we make a change like this, that binds this body to behave a certain way. So we need to we need to crawl before we can walk. We need to walk before we can run. Right now we're walking and we're trying to run, and we haven't had the training yet. We don't have the experience. There are plenty more scenarios out there that we haven't.
Okay, Mr. Keefe, we're at
Thank you
4
very
minutes.
much.
Yeah. Ms. Lichtenstein.
Leslie Lichtenstein, Precinct 8. First, I'd like to thank the people that got us these little things. I'm getting to the age where getting up and down is a little harder, so I think they're great. I do think we should defer this to the Rules Committee for the reason, what bothers me, not as the open meeting vote, it's not that part, but last night we had 2 occasions in which we used it to count things like, are we going to go past 11 o'clock? So what this is saying is every time we use this little clicker, it gets recorded, but we don't use this little clicker only to vote on a particular article. We use it to stop, if we're cut off debate, and to do other things too. So I think we need a little bit more clarification, and I think it's the Rules Committee that should do that. But again, I'm not against open government particularly.
Okay, Mr. Latimer. Put you on the list.
Thank you.
If we could
Richard
get everybody,
Latimer,
just before you start, if we could just get everyone to make sure your cell phones are on silent mode, please. Mr. Latimer.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Please, Richard Latimer, Precinct 1. I also would speak in favor of this. The way it is drafted at this point, it's only going to come up when not on every vote, but when it's called because it's going to be a close issue, when it's too close to call by voice. Those will be the important issues when the public really needs to know how we voted. Unless the selectmen have some information about Russian hacking here, I don't understand why they would be opposed to this. I mean, it's a fairly simple system. It's basically yes, no on every vote, and the only thing that's being added to what we already have is that it's going to be saved. Well, what's the problem? That allows the people who vote for us, if they're interested in how we voted on a particular article, to go immediately and check. And maybe that will affect how they vote next election, and that's a good thing. We don't have any right to privacy here, what we're doing here. So I would very definitely support this tonight. Now, if there's a question, are we going to do this on a procedural vote? Well, let's deal with that at another town meeting. If that becomes an issue, well, you know, if we're going to vote to go beyond you know, a certain hour, or we're going to vote to let somebody speak, well, we can patch that up. But for now, let's just say anytime this device is used, it gets saved and reported on the town website. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Siegel.
Deborah Siegel, Precinct 6. As some of you know, both on and off the stage, I've been an avid supporter of increased participation and transparency in government for many years. However, at this point, civil discourse in our society is not doing very well. And my question to Malcolm or to somebody up on the stage is, what happens when I cast a vote and somebody goes and looks at that and takes issue with it and starts sending me really obnoxious, unpleasant emails? Am I going to have any recourse? I mean, part of the problem is that one hopes that the votes that we take here are based on a complexity that we're here for in the discussion, but that somebody else may not have been aware of. And my vote may look unappealing to somebody, but they may not understand why I did it. So I'm not sure that that's such a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, I would just make a general response that you could delete the email and block the email address. You could respond to the comments that they make, and if it's a continual harassment, you could
change my email address.
Well, no. If they're continuing to harass you, then you could make a report of that. But
yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Johnson. I'll put you back on the list, Richard.
Leonard Johnson, Precinct 5. I would like to just second what Mr. Keith on the other side of the room said. The problem with this in my mind, and I'm certainly in favor of open government and transparency, the problem in my mind is that this is only one way. This mandates that we have a recorded, that the electronic vote is recorded and put on the website. I think this needs to be reworked and come back to us with more, at least one more option, which was certainly the case last night in Article 24 when we were discussing the extension of Chief's contract. So we need more options to make this effective and not have it just be a one-way street.
Okay, Ms. Swain.
Brenda Swain, Precinct 6. I just have an IT question, and thinking about the responsibilities in the clerk's office. Is this system compatible with being able to take the vote and putting it right onto the website, or would they be required to type all these names and all these votes each time it happened?
Sure. Well, we'll recognize the clerk to answer that because we discussed this at the meeting as well. Mr. Clerk.
Basically, I'm taking the data, and it's in an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm cutting and pasting to the record. Very simple. It doesn't really take any more time out of my workload. I am recording that along with the other votes of town meeting. It may make the record of town meeting longer by 2 pages for each time we use that, but that's just on the website, so until we print it, I don't know if that answers your question for you. So I do have just a couple comments while I'm on the mic there. Some things that were brought up tonight, which I think are reasonable to consider. As Mr. Keefe said, if we have a reason for a secret ballot, then we have to consider how that would work with this. And the other thing is our procedural vote. That's not included in this either. Do we want to have a roll call vote for moving the question? So there's 2 things in just a handful of people that have commented. I think that what that alludes to is that we should give the Rules and Procedures Committee a little bit more time to think of these possibilities. We've used this in 1 town meeting. This is the 2nd town meeting. Give the Rules and Procedures Committee a couple of town meetings to get it under a belt to identify all these things that could possibly take place, and then come back and, again, it's no additional work for anybody to record the vote. It's here, it can be done, but there are instances that we have to consider whether we want that to happen every single time. So, thank you.
Okay, Ms. Putnam.
Rebecca Putnam, Precinct 9. I'd like to thank you for bringing this forward. I think it's about time that we start showing the people who elect us into town meeting how we actually vote. And for those of us that think that people don't know how we might vote, when we stand, the cameras do roam the entire room to see who's voting yes and no when we do a standing count. So I have a question, though, probably for you, Mr. Moderator. Like last night with the personal chief's vote, can we now, if this is passed, we know that when we're going to use these buttons, we're going to be recorded as to how we vote. Is there a way that we can request to, like last night, request not to have the roll call counted to protect?
So under state statute, there is a provision for representative town meetings to fix the method of voting by secret ballot, which is traditionally, and this was used a couple of weeks ago in Bourne. I was at their town meeting. It's a paper ballot that you rip in half, and everybody walks down, and there's a box, and you put the yes, if you vote yes, in the box, and you put the no in the other little container that they have, and then the clerk goes through and they manually count the sheets of paper. So when the Rules and Procedures Committee was considering this, that requires a 2/3 vote of a representative town meeting to fix the method by the ballot. So when we were going through this whole buy in this device, how do we do it, what do we do, my thought was we would utilize the system if it was a request by a 2/3 vote to use a secret ballot, but instead of the clerk actually having to hand out ballots, we would just do what we did in essence last night, use the machine, report the aggregate, and then not keep the record.
Thank you. I would ask that you guys vote this yes. It's time that we start really showing how we are representing the town.
Mr. Bidwell.
Todd Bidwell, Precinct 4. Since we're still using a process of voice vote, it means that on the website, we will only have those recordings done by electronic. I think the Rules and Procedures Committee should consider that citizens who start to perhaps get used to being able to go and look and see how we voted, there may then be a call for every vote to be recorded by name and the voice vote will have to be eliminated. And I would just ask, what will that do either as far as timing of the meeting and or any other unintended consequences?
Okay, Ms. Schneider.
Barb Schneider, Precinct 4. While I understand why we are looking at this idea, I think last night was a perfect example. And while a lot of us in this room appear to be broad-shouldered and strong people, I would say that my experience is that there's a lot of people in here that would not vote at all if they felt that there was going to be a published vote, or they would be fearful of putting their name one way or the other. Last night was an example. I'm not saying that it's right, but I'm saying it's reality, that people do tend, they would even weigh their decision of how to vote differently. And I think that that's sad. Right now, we should think that this is something that can be worked out over the next 6 months or a year, and it can come back with more options and a little more structure to it, and we can still achieve what you're looking to do. But it's got glitches, and I think we're all seeing that.
Okay, Ms. Moran.
I want to take exception to something that Mr. Latimer said, because Mr. Jones was very clear that the Board of Selectmen looked at this and appreciated Mr. Donald's suggestion in terms of the openness and transparency element, while at the same time, just as is our policy to give as much credit as possible to our committees who look at the details, who have the experience, who put the time in, to give that process a chance to move forward. And I think this discussion tonight is a terrific example of a lot of issues and scenarios that the Rules Committee will consider. And so, although it has really kind of sparked the idea in moving forward, I will be voting no.
Okay, Mr. Turkington.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Eric Turkington, Precinct 1. I spent 20 years working in a place on your behalf where there were many roll call votes, and but I got paid for it. You know, we had controversial issues, and I think we've all figured out what happens when you have a controversial issue. You attract a lot of negative attention if you don't side with whoever doesn't agree with you. Last night was a good example, but in this body, at every town meeting, we have controversial issues. People feel very strongly about them. They will have your email, because that's now publicly available, and they will criticize you, sometimes rudely. They will harass you. And all this will come after the vote, so it won't make any difference. It will just make a difference in your life, because you will get nasty emails and nasty texts, and it'll ruin your day. and it will happen often enough that a lot of people in this room will say, I don't think I want to be a town meeting member anymore. We already have precincts where there aren't enough candidates now. If this kind of roll call proposal were in place, we're going to have a lot more people not running for town meeting.
Mr. Donahue.
Bob Donahue, Precinct 3. Through you, Mr. Moderator, is the chairman of that committee here and
I am the chairman of that committee.
You are, okay. Then I can
The
ask
Charter Review Committee said that there shall be a Rules and Procedures Committee, but they didn't say who the chairman will be. I've been the chairman since.
Well, we did give you a raise, so it
18 years ago was the last raise I got. Go ahead.
But anyway, what I'm saying is, could we ask the Rules Committee to come back at the next town meeting, or when would you feel as the chairman comfortable to come back with a positive report to give us. And
so when we talked about it at the Rules Committee, we wanted to sort of learn, so we learned a little bit about the dynamic of that vote last night and how this type of a system might play. The issue that was just brought up about the procedural votes versus the substantive motion votes is one that didn't actually come up yet in the committee, so it came up in the floor town meeting. That's something that we'll review. So I can't say if it's necessarily going to be the next meeting or maybe one meeting after that, but it's definitely sort of the focus of the Rules and Procedures Committee right now is what went well, what went wrong, and then what recommendations do we want to make moving forward. And so I don't have a definitive timeline, but I'm going to tell you that it is the primary agenda of the last meeting and the future meetings, because we try to meet after each town meeting in preparation for the next town meeting. So if the committee wants to make a recommendation after our next meeting, if they think they want to get one more under their belt, I'll defer to their desire for additional experience, and then we'll come back in the future town meeting.
I was hoping you would say you could come back at the fall town meeting and give us some
it could be
guidance.
fall, it could be spring.
Even spring. I would be willing to wait the whole year to get the full input. I recognize all the difficulties and that people have been talking about, and I think we need guidance from a committee like that. So I will be voting no on this at this time, but I do think it's a positive thing we should do, and no one should be afraid of voting in this country. That's what the whole deal is about, isn't it? We vote, and yeah, every now and then in the old days you had a fist fight, but you know, we have, and you're here, you stand up and you defend your vote. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Rowitz.
Ray Rowitz, Precinct 5. Before we had the electronic voting, we had when we had voting where we had a standing vote, we were all accountable. Since the electronic voting and we're pushing a button for the close votes, there is no accountability at all. What Mr. Donald's article does is it creates that accountability, or it reestablishes the accountability for each one of us who are representatives of the people of Falmouth. So I would, if it's not voted on tonight, I would hope that that would be recognized and we would have the accountability.
Okay, Mr. Murphy. This list is getting really long. Do we really?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I just have, again, the idea and the ideal that this isn't ready. This could be construed, and I might read it to you. The town meeting rules require every vote to be a roll call vote using the electronic voting system. I think
this is the main motion up here.
Okay, so we changed it.
Yeah, it would.
Okay.
Each time that we do use it, we would record it versus requiring it to be used every time.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Yep. Okay, Mr. Neto, you're all set. Ms. Long.
Sarah Long, Precinct 7. I move the question.
Okay. Motion's already been made to close to move the previous question. All those. No, the motion's already been made to move the previous question. All those in favor of moving the previous question signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It's been the chairs that the ayes have it by a 2/3 majority, and discussion is closed. The question will now come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. You can't speak after the discussion's been closed. You needed to do that before a discussion was closed. Well, hey, welcome to parliamentary law. I don't know when they're doing it in Boston either, and sometimes I get to speak and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I get to request a roll call, sometimes I don't. All those in favor of the amendment as the motion as presented signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. No. It's been to the chairs that the noes have it by a majority. Article 32, This is to authorize a second water meter for residences affected by the sewer system. The recommendation of the Board of Selectmen is indefinite postponement. Mr. Swain held this article? Whoa, 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 hold on. I got 3 people telling me they held the article. I have Mr. Swain, so obviously you must have stood up because I saw you in the center. But we need a main motion on the floor, and then the petitioner gets the right to speak first. Is he here tonight?
Actually, Mr. Bazicki is sick. He asked me if I would do the article for him.
Okay. So Mr. Swain for a motion?
I just held the article for Mr. Bazicki. That's all I did.
Okay. So
I
you
don't
wanna
want
make
to speak on it.
Who's going to make the main motion on his behalf?
I put a positive motion on the floor,
Okay,
please.
you're going to make the motion. Okay.
And I also have an amendment that Mr. Bazicki wanted.
So there won't be an amendment. You're going to make a positive motion, because right now the recommendation is indefinite postponement. So whatever you put before us will be the main motion.
Okay. I want to put a positive motion, and then, as you said, the article has been abbreviated from his original. I'm not completely familiar with this. Is that not correct? That you shortened it up to say...
Well, so the conversation we had yesterday
Yes.
Was the first paragraph as printed in the warrant booklet is really a series of explanations. And so a main motion should start to see if the town shall authorize a second water meter for each. That should be the motion.
Okay.
Because the rest is really explanatory notes.
All right. Where, excuse me, I thought you said it was already done. Where's the £1 sewer reserve? And since the new system is operating costs, where does it? I'm sorry, I can't. Where's the to see is? Yeah, it's not written.
When you get to the second paragraph, go down to Town of Falmouth authorize.
That's not what I have on this paper. Sorry, this is what.
I don't know what paper you have. I'm looking at the warrant booklet. What?
Excuse me. This is
Yeah.
what Mr. Bazicki gave me, and it doesn't.
Well, read it off and let's see if it's a motion. If it's not, we're going to take a vote. We'll move on.
Okay. I'll skip through with the recent completion of the Little Pond Sewer Service Area project, residents in the area are required to abandon their old Title V sewer systems. This is obviously, we don't need this. Let me see. Where are we going to go? The last paragraph. Oh, okay, here we go. Yeah, this position is to place an article on the annual warrant to have the town of Falmouth authorize a second water meter for each residence affected to the new sewers, by the new sewer system. The town provides the additional water meter and the homeowner would pay for the installation on petition of Stephen Bazicki.
Okay, so that is what is in the warrant booklet. So,
Okay,
so the motion is, I move that the town authorize a second water meter for each residence affected by this new sewer system. The town to provide the additional water meter and the homeowner to pay for its installation.
Yes.
So that'll be the main motion. So what's
right.
printed in that second paragraph in your warrant booklet is the main motion. Okay,
Okay.
Mr. Finneran.
And then you'd like to add to it, this position affects everyone who is now connected to the sewer and will be connected in the future.
What was the language you used there?
This petition will affect everyone who is now connected to the sewer and who will be connected in the future. So anybody on the sewer, basically.
Now, would this be, so so that part of the motion doesn't
So that would
clarify just the Little Pond Sewer Service Area?
Yeah, it
Is that the
removes that,
intent?
and it's everyone that's been sewered.
Okay, so that's his intent, so we'll say in the Little Pond Sewer Service Area. Okay.
And, you know, it'll include New Silver Beach, obviously, and the other areas in town that are sewered.
It will?
Yes.
So that he doesn't want it to be.
No,
it's really
it's
difficult
not-
to have a motion without the petitioner before us.
Yeah.
Uh,
I'm sorry, he just gave me this.
No,
and
it's
to be
not-
honest with you,
it's not your fault.
I considered this article myself, but we had an article in solid waste, so I didn't
Okay, so you,
bother.
so the petitioner does not want it just in the Little Pond
No,
Sewer.
he wants
This
to
is
include
townwide, everything that's hooked up to a sewer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because if you did it that way, it'd be another inequity.
Go ahead, now make the case for it. Yeah.
All right.
I think this is basically like a 14th Amendment article. I mean, everybody deserves equal protection under the law.
Yeah.
Beyond the scope of this article, applying this in the future is not as what's contained and given to us in the warrant.
How could that?
Second meter for each residence effective.
How could a buy not?
Whoa. This isn't a discussion. It's a point of order. The town of authorizes the second for residents respective of this new sewer system. The gentleman makes a good point. The motion to extend beyond the Little Pond sewer service area would be beyond the scope because anyone reasonably reading this doesn't think they're dealing with a different part of the town, that they're specifically dealing with the Little Pond sewer service area. The second point as to whether or not now or in the future language should be there, I'm going to say is within the scope because we're confining it to the Little Pond sewer service area. And so if there's any future installation within the service area, I'll deem that within the scope.
Joe Nettle, Precinct 9. I also feel that the amendment lacks a date when it's effective, and it lacks a funding source.
The homeowner pays.
We got to buy, if we have to buy water meters, where's the money going to come from, and where's the funding source? If we're going to present articles on town meeting floor, they have to be done correctly.
Okay, so I'm going to say this is a policy choice right now, and so town meeting can debate this and take a vote if the policy is to do it. You've not appropriated any money to do it, so the next step would be someone would have to come back to town meeting and figure out what money would need to be appropriated. So this is really now the essence of a policy decision without any funding available, because we're not requiring a particular purchase. If this were to require a purchase right now of something, so that's to take the policy debate and discussion tonight, and then if it passes, then we've got to have some future appropriations to deal with the issue. Okay, go ahead.
I believe his intention was what the homeowner would pay for the meter. Like I said, I'm sorry. The gentleman called me and asked me if I would do this. I mean,
yeah,
I understand.
It says the town to provide the additional water meter, and the homeowner would pay for its installation. So there's some ambiguity there as to.
Yeah, there is, obviously. Again, it's not my
folks,
article.
Folks, I don't want to be here all night on this, okay? I'm either going to just call for a vote, or we're going to allow a little bit of discussion on the policy issue, okay? Do you have anything else in your opening presentation as the petitioner?
To open my presentation?
The opening presentation. You are the petitioner tonight, in essence.
Yeah. I think it's, again, as I said, it's about equitability here. I mean, the people in the Little Pond sewer service area paid twice the betterment that the original sewer did, and the people in New Silver Beach paid twice as much in money to be hitched to the sewer. And now they're asking to be, you're asking them to pay more for the water than other people pay. I mean, why should someone in Little Pond pay more for irrigation than someone on Penzance Point? It's not equitable. It's the same water. It has no effect on the sewer system. It doesn't go in the sewer system. If the sewer system doesn't pay for itself, it should pay for itself within the amount of water that's put into it. I mean, it's just not fair or equitable. I mean, that's like going to your auto mechanic and he charges you more for your alternator because the price of gas went up. It certainly isn't fair. I mean, I didn't write this article. It should, if it's not acceptable tonight, it should come back again. But I mean, you know, why should someone in town, one part of town, pay more for the exact same product than someone in another part of town? I mean, I think it's completely fair and reasonable that this article is presented. If in fact it is not in a manner, written in a manner that's presentable, maybe it should come back. But I mean, you can't deny that there's, I don't think anybody here can give me a good reason why one of your neighbors should pay more for their water than another. I hope at least some of you agree with that. I don't know where we stand, sir.
So you all set? You're done? Okay, Mr. Lowell? Mr. Lowell? No, you don't want to be on there? Mr. Young? Mr. Young? Didn't I see your hand up there? No? Okay, you're waving. Ms. Cuny? Oh, Ms. Cuny must have raised her hand behind you, and I thought it was your hand.
Sandy Cuny, Precinct 2. I've actually had some calls from the people in Precinct 2 who have some concerns, who are willing to pay for their own meter. They have irrigation system, and it does cost. They're paying the sewer rate. So it is something to look at. I truly feel we're not ready tonight to vote on this, so I would like to ask for indefinite postponement, but I would like to take a look at it and put some thoughts towards it and bring it back. Thank you.
Okay, gentleman in the center, yep. Yep. No, Jim behind you. I'll put you on the list.
Jim Callahan, Precinct 5. I move the question, please.
Okay, we have a motion to close discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a 2/3 and discussion's closed. The question will come on the main motion as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? And the chairs at the noes have it by a majority. Article 35. The recommendation of the Planning Board is indefinite postponement. Do we have a positive motion for the floor? Yeah, that's just, do you have a mic?
Dick Sacchetti, Precinct 4. I held this for Mr. Clower to make the positive motion.
A town meeting member has to make a positive motion. Non-town meeting members can't make motions.
All right, I will make a motion that the article as written be approved by this town meeting.
Okay, as printed.
As printed.
Yep, okay, so that's the main motion as printed. Mr. Clara.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, members of town meeting. Thank you, Mr. Sacchetti, for holding this. My name is Kevin Clower, Precinct 6, and I'm an attorney here in town. I have submitted this Article 35 on behalf of a client who's seeking the simple ability to split wood logs for firewood as an accessory use in the agricultural district. It's somewhat surprising that this use is not presently allowed. It would seem intuitive that the agricultural district, which allows for agricultural and horticultural uses, as well as the use of a portable woodworking mill, would likewise allow log splitting. However, this is not the case under the present terms of the zoning bylaw. Last year, the building commissioner determined that a portable woodworking mill only applies to the creation of construction lumber from raw timber, not for the splitting of logs into firewood. In discussing this with both the building commissioner and with the Zoning Board of Appeals during an appeal of this determination, it was suggested that an article of this nature, specifically allowing this use, be submitted to town meeting, which is how we ended up here this evening. Portable woodworking mills, as are allowed, and log splitters are essentially analogous. They're similar in size and style, engines of similar size, and they're used in a similar manner with similar uses and intensities. I believe that this article can and should be allowed as printed in the warrant. This applies only in the agricultural district. It's narrow in scope, only allowing it as an accessory use. And it's very much in relation to the other uses that are currently allowed within the district. I thank you all for your time and consideration this evening. I'd be happy to address any questions if I can.
Okay, Mr. Dufresne.
Adrian Dufresne, Precinct 2. I hope this body understands that splitting logs is not a quiet type of business. To allow this in a district without going through the proper process of the planning board's complete review and possibly a permit through the Board of Appeals, the way it's written, you could put a machine to split the logs. You are actually manufacturing logs and firewood. I would hope that we vote this down and let it go through the proper procedure of the Planning Board and the Board of Appeals. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Elder?
Catherine Elder, Precinct 6. I wonder if the gentleman down there has a map of zoning for the town that we could put on the screen. Is that possible? That would show the colors of the different zones?
I don't have a zoning mapping at the moment, no.
Okay. If you look at the zoning map of Falmouth, there's a lot of agriculturally zoned land in our town. All the green shaded areas in that map up there are agricultural. Currently, I learned from the precinct meeting that it's the industrial zone where this use is allowed by right. I don't believe that a business of cutting, splitting, moving, loading logs is accessory in this district and should be by right. Most of this land is residential, basically. We don't have that many farms. And I don't see it as an accessory use to a residence. So I've got a big problem with allowing this by right. I agree that with Mr. Dufresne that if you're going to have this kind of a business go on, it's a very noisome business. It should be in a different zone, or at the very least, it should be minimum acreage for an agricultural accessory use. This is just not a fully baked request. There should be a lot more rules on it. It's a noisome trade. You have dump trucks that will come in and unload huge logs, trees. You need a bobcat to move around the stuff. I just can't see that working in our neighborhoods. And if you allow this by right, without having to go through a permit process, you're just really opening up the Zoning Board of Appeals to a lot of complaints. And I just hope that we can vote this as a no. Thank you.
Okay, the gentleman in the far back. Yep. Yep.
Hi, Jeff Bomber, Precinct 8. I live up in the green up there in the north of the town. Where I live, you'll notice that there's huge blocks of land that was all for cutting wood. That was all cleared, cut, split, and I live in that land now. The trees have grown back. I harvest that wood, some of it, and I burn it in my stove and heat my home. A lot of people in this town do that. I don't think a log splitter is any louder than a leaf blower or a weed whacker or a lot of other things that are accepted. Been burning wood on my land for 35 years, and before that, other years in other places. Nobody's ever said anything. We've been harvesting wood, heating our homes for decades, hundreds of years, for that matter, in this town. We didn't use a log splitter, but now we do. I don't think it's that loud, any louder than a lot of other things that are accepted. This has been going on in this town for a long time. When I don't have enough wood, I go up the street and I buy it off a logger who's been working for another 40 years, and he logs in this area and across the canal, and he supplies me with wood. He supplies a lot of people in this town with wood. A no vote tonight is basically taking the rights away from a lot of people in this town have been doing this for a long time. And, you know, at least, I mean, all of a sudden I can't split wood and heat my home. If there's extenuating circumstances in the town between neighbors or between this, it should be dealt with in a way that you don't pull the rug out from a lot of people in this town. It's been going on for a long time, and a lot of people, there's no problems at all. We went to the planning board meeting and we talked. There was one family that had a problem. And it was a mitigating circumstance. It should have been mitigated without pulling the rug out of a lot of citizens here that do this. And one other thing, I mean, if you're going to take the rights away from people, okay, we're in a position here, a no or a yes. Shouldn't those people have a right to vote? So I would say to vote for this, continue what we're doing, get back to square one, and then move forward. If there's mitigating circumstances, then can deal with it and allow people who have the room and are doing it without any problem to keep doing it. I don't know. I run out of words, so thank you. Thank you, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, Mr. Hargraves, Mr. Swain, you're on my list.
Peter Hargraves, Precinct 9. I'd like to offer some additional information that hasn't been presented here so that town meeting can make a considered judgment in voting this article, and I'm begging you to vote the guidance of the planning board and indefinitely postpone and not allow this. This is a piece of property on the southeast corner of the Andrews Farm. Petitioner went to the planning board because they have the authority to grant the special permit for a contractor's yard, which was granted and required several other changes to this piece of property that otherwise was useless because it was located adjacent to the cell tower, and the plan to build homes there was not feasible. That was not an attractive site for a prospective homeowner. And so the way that this was described at the planning board was that there was going to be light traffic in the morning and in the evening when the contractor's trucks left and then returned. At that time, the planning board conscientiously addressed this issue of wood splitting and said it was beyond their authority, and this went to the zoning board. And the zoning board did a very thorough investigation of the differences between wood splitting and wood milling and the noise associated with those operations, and basically said that the current zoning law that allows wood milling by right does not cover wood splitting. And the fact I'd like to offer for you to consider is this operation is relocated from Corker Road, where some of these equipments and wood splitting were previously located, but was shut down for various violations in 2014 after a fire that caused $35,000 worth of damage, and because of the irresponsible operation of a rigged up wood kiln for drying firewood. There, fortunately, it was in a populated area where people could spot the issue and call the fire department. If you're familiar with Corker Road, there are a lot of houses around, and where the nursery was, which is now being reestablished as a nursery, it's fairly tight to many houses. This is a populated area, but the area proposed for splitting wood is in an isolated spot in the back corner, and a substantial fire could get started within a period of time before it was noticed and reported. And I just think that from what I understand, the traffic study was not done to make that a contractor's yard with a special permit because the traffic was explained as light. What we're doing is increasing the intensity of use of the property by making essentially an industrial operation of wood splitting and having trucks going in and out and selling firewood as the work product. That is not the intent of the contractor's yard. So I'm begging you to please turn down the approval of wood splitting on this property.
Okay, Mr. Sacchetti.
Dick Sacchetti, Precinct 4. I don't have a hound in this hunt, but when we met a short while ago to discuss the Tony Andrews farm, we were very enthusiastic about the fact that we were going to be able to put some land back into farming and keep it there to keep the historical nature of the town. The fellow who bought this property bought a subdivision of 4 lots. He vacated the ability to build the 4 lots and applied for a contractor's yard and informed, and I went back and read the notes on all of this, particularly the planning board's notes. And he asked for a contractor's yard. He's not a contractor, he's a landscaping business, JB Landscaping. After he acquired the property, he realized it would be put to a better use as a...
Mr. Fox? Okay, okay. It's not a point of order. I mean, you can use examples within the zones. Just because you don't like his comments doesn't mean it's go ahead.
In any case, this property is located, if you look at the map for Article 25, this was not put in there for Article 25, but I think it's the 3rd page from the rear. Article 25, it says in the top, that is the property, and it shows the original house lots. It's bounded by a gun range, or a hunting club, cell tower. There are very few houses adjacent to this other than one of the Andrews family that owns the house on the upper left-hand corner, who was the seller of the property. He has the right to bring in logs and cut them. So if you can think of the log, and he's taking a machine or a chainsaw, and he's cutting the logs, he has the right to do that. Once it's cut, he doesn't have the right to split it. The issue with the planning board appears to be in the minutes that they had a problem with the equipment that he was using, that there was a definition of one of the pieces of equipment as a portable mill. And the portable mill could be used to plane lumber, etc. This is not the portable mill that he's asked for, and it says portable in his application. I went to see it. It's about, you could take it behind a trailer, behind a pickup truck. It cuts the wood, it sends it down a little chute, and it splits it. He has the legitimate right to cut that wood on site, those logs on site. That's where the noise is coming from, the noise that's going to be heard at the gun club. But he doesn't have the right, once it comes down the chute, to split it, which is virtually no noise. So he can, in reading the minutes of the meeting, the issue about the log cutting and log splitting and the equipment that he was using was the point that he was turned down on. It wasn't an issue of fire safety or anything else. And in addition to that, I am told, with regard to his nursery in the front of the property, that he's already made application to be registered by the state as a farm, which, if he is going to allow this anyway. I don't know what the objection was. I don't know if the planning board went to see the piece of equipment, because it's no longer than a 16-foot boat behind a trailer, and it splits it. You put the log in the front of it, it cuts it like a chainsaw. That's where the noise is coming from. And then it goes down a chute, and it splits it. To take this...
okay, Mr. Sacchetti, you've got your 4 minutes.
Pardon me?
You hit your 4 minutes.
Okay, in any case, I think that turning this guy down is foolishness when all we're trying to do is increase our farm in the community.
Mr. Clower.
Just to clarify a few questions that came up, and as well, I think some misconceptions. There's been reference to this being an industrial use of manufacturing. Industrial manufacturing typically refers to the assembly of something into something else, or taking one product and making it something else. Taking a piece of wood and making it into a smaller piece of wood, I don't think is manufacturing firewood. I don't think it's manufacturing new wood. It's simply breaking up one piece into smaller pieces. The issue with the portable woodworking mill versus a log splitter is essentially the direction of cut. Cutting horizontally is perfectly allowed under the terms of the bylaw. Cutting vertically or pneumatically is not apparently allowed under the existing terms of the zoning bylaw. This is not presently allowed in an industrial district. It's not presently allowed anywhere in our bylaw. Our bylaw is completely silent as to the creation of firewood or log splitting. So that's what has brought us here this evening, because it's a use that has gone on in this town for many years in many different areas. We're simply seeking to allow it as an accessory use within the agricultural district, which is the district in which this makes the most sense possible. Thank you.
Mr. Swain? With the microphone, please, Mr. Swain.
Mr. Moderator? Working? It is. The issue of wood cutting in the town of Falmouth, log splitting, has been going on from year one. From the person using an axe on a chopping block to cut wood. Now the planning board, and I'm be happy to work with them on a bylaw, we need to put the simple act of cutting wood in your backyard, where there's an automatic log splitter which doesn't make hardly any noise, versus a log splitting machine, a big one, and the truckloads of wood, that's a separate issue. That's major work. So we have to designate this and work with a new bylaw to put this together. It's really never come up before, but with all the houses and the density in this town, it's now becoming an issue. And we have different zoning areas, we have contractors' yards, we have industrial zones, residential zones, etc. And we need to put a bylaw together, and that's what this is all about. This is one issue, and it can't be solved on town meeting floor. So I suggest we turn this down, give it back to the planning board, let them come up with a good bylaw, look at the issues, and then we can vote on it. Thank you.
Okay, gentleman in the back.
Nathan Adams, Precinct 6. I'd like to point everybody's attention that we have an existing bylaw called Right to Farm. It's Chapter 174. And it's defined in here that farming and agricultural is growing and harvesting of forest products upon forest land and any other forest or lumbering operation. Splitting wood is obviously a forestry operation. It is by right. This is our town code, and it's a copy of our state code. Now in our town, it's grown. We've grown accustomed to building houses on agriculturally zoned land. And so this idea that you're making noise next to neighbors, that's where people are getting riled up. But finally, somebody wants to use agriculturally zoned land for agriculture, and somehow we are caught off guard. So I guess at the end of this is, let's just follow our existing bylaws. Let's bring our zoning bylaw in line with the right to farm. This is an existing by right use of agricultural land. I urge you all to allow a man who, and anybody who has bought a piece of agricultural land expecting to use it for farming, by their own blood, sweat, and tears, that they're able to feed their family and make a living. Thank you.
Ms. Toby?
Thank you. Thank you. Linda Toby, Precinct 4. I just want to agree with what Mr. Swain said. I was about to say that myself. I think that we do need to look at this issue, and think of it, separate into two groups. We have people that split wood in their backyard, and that's one whole issue. The other issue is setting up a woodworking mill and using it for profit, setting up a business without really the correct permits to use. I really think we need to relook at this issue and think about putting some parameters on it. I think we're opening up a whole new kettle of worms, is what I think. And I think we don't need that. I think this is the time to look at the issue and decide how we would like it run and get it set up appropriately so that both groups know what the rules are and how it works. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Wilson? You're all set. Ms. Lichtenstein? You're all set. Ms. Welch? You're all set. Mr. Fox?
We had a long discussion on this, and it became clear, and the vote was split, but the majority of the board voted indefinite postponement. And the main reason is so much of that green is agriculture, but it's a lot of residential right now. There is a way for this to work. It needs more work, and we'd like to have the chance to make the bylaw right and not just change it like this. And that's what the board was, indefinite postponement, and it's for all agricultural land, not the one lot we've been talking about. That's it.
Okay, Mr. Latimer? Wow. Never thought I'd see Richard do that. We have the motion to move the previous question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. And the chair says that the ayes have it by the 2/3 vote, and the question has been moved. The question will now come on the main motion. This requires a 2/3 vote as well. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. It's the opinion of the chair that there's a majority of noes, and there's no 2/3, and the article does not pass. Article 36, Planning Board for the main motion.
We recommend the amendment as printed.
Okay, Article 36 as printed. This is to amend the zoning bylaw, Section 240-67C, lots for commercial accommodations by inserting and business redevelopment in Section 240-67C 2C after business 2. Ms. Siegel, you held the... I have your name on it. Okay. Who held it? Ms. Shepherd?
Susan Shepherd, Precinct 1. It may have been held by Vicki Lowell, who is not
She
here.
was sitting over there, so I wouldn't have gone that far. I wouldn't have been that far off. Somebody around Ms. Siegel, because I've got Ms. Siegel written down.
Well.
But it doesn't matter. Who wants to talk on this? Ms. Siegel, you want to talk on it? Well, then go ahead. I recognized you first. Take the opportunity when you get it. These lists get long sometimes.
And I have a statement from Vicki, who is not here tonight.
Okay, but you believe she was... So that, why don't you read that, since you got the mic? Read that, and then Ms. Siegel. Why don't we do that? We'll let her read that first. Because you both have a mic, so...
Vicki's on a trip that had been planned because she thought town meeting might only go 2 nights. So she says, Article 36 seems simple enough. Business redevelopment, BR, currently has no density standards. For the number of units in commercial accommodations, B2 does. So it would be appropriate to apply the same density standards for B2 zones to BR zones. However, before we vote on the article, I think town meeting should know what they are. They are 5 units for the first 10,000 square feet of lot area and 1 unit for each additional 1,000 square feet. That means that a 1-acre lot could have a 38-unit motel, a 2-acre lot could have 81 units, and a 2.4-acre lot, which was the amount of land for the proposed Marriott on Main Street, could have 99 to 100 units. very close to the 110-unit hotel that the applicants wanted. An almost universal consensus about the Marriott that it was much too big for the lot, a bulky building that was out of scale with its surroundings. Do we really want to endorse a bylaw change that might result in more of those types of proposals? You might be thinking, isn't it better to have than not have a density standard? Perhaps it is, if you have the right standard. But once you have one, the developer will almost inevitably propose to build to the limit. And once the standard has been adopted by town meeting, it becomes legally difficult for the ZBA to ask a developer to scale a proposal back. Not having a standard allows the ZBA more judgment as to the size and compatibility of the structures. In the example of the Marriott, the ZBA never had a chance to make a judgment because the proposal was denied by the Cape Cod Commission. There are other issues. One is that BR mandates mixed use, so a proposal is likely to have other uses on the site in addition to the hotel or motel. A second is that there may be non-conforming aspects to the lots that potentially allow for greater lot coverage and even more massive buildings. I would ask the planning board if they have done due diligence in regard to extending the existing B2 standards to BR. These standards were adopted in the early 1980s when I imagine hotel rooms were smaller and did not have cooking or kitchen facilities. What is the density of units for our existing motels? Does it approach these standards? Having some attractive new commercial accommodations in Falmouth is likely a good thing, but I want to have more confidence that we would not be opening Falmouth Main Street up to more Marriott-type proposals. Thank you. Vicki Lowell, Precinct 1.
Okay, Ms. Siegel, and then Mr. Clower.
Deborah Siegel, Precinct 6. And Mr. Moderator, I plead lack of sleep. I want to mention one thing for people to think about before they vote on this, which is the traffic impact of a hotel at this corner, in particular, of Main Street and Scranton Avenue. Harbor, traffic, police department, rec center, and senior center. And now on to more general things. Any change of zoning that is proposed for a particular parcel or client should be looked at with extreme caution, as it will go on to affect all parcels in a particular district. I mentioned Betty Lintner's name. Betty Lintner worked very hard to try to get us in years past to be very cognizant of just this problem. If we give up our ability to control development, we also give up our ability to decide what kind of town we want to live in. People keep talking about, with this article, about how we need more hotels, and I disagree. What we need are more zoning regulations, not fewer. What we need is less traffic. We need affordable housing. We do not need more hotels. I urge you to think very carefully about this. There's a reason that this requires a 2/3 vote, and to vote it down. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Clower.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I am Kevin Clower, Precinct 6, and I am the petitioner on this matter. I'd settle for 500 tonight. That would still make me a Hall of Fame baseball player, so 1 out of 2 would be fine. I submitted this article on behalf of my client's LaFrance Hospitality Group. I'm joined tonight by Tim Burkhart, who's the VP of Development for LaFrance. If this town meeting would allow, he'd like to say a few words later. I'd like to address some of the misconceptions and also to clarify what it is that we're proposing. This article is seeking to clarify the density that is allowed for commercial accommodations in the business redevelopment district. Understanding that we're talking about a change to the zoning bylaw, I did want to say a little bit about my client. LaFrance Hospitality Group is a small family-owned company which owns 9 hotels in New England and 1 in Florida, as well as a number of restaurants. They are designing and hoping to construct a hotel at the property's currently known as 763 Main Street and 24 Scranton Avenue. That is the site of the former Cape Cod 5 branch, as well as the former Seven Seas Motel. They're under agreement to purchase these properties from Cape Cod 5, subject to permitting. The issue here stems from the original change of these properties from Business 2 to business redevelopment. In 2004, a portion of Main Street from Gifford Road down to Falmouth Heights Road, that was all previously B2, was changed to business redevelopment. Business redevelopment specifically allows for commercial accommodations as a special permit use. However, when this section of the bylaw changed, the corresponding section of the bylaw, which refers to density allowed for commercial accommodations, was not likewise updated. It seems clear that the intent here was not to have no limit or to make the limit discretionary to the various permitting boards. In fact, in discussion with our previous town planner, Brian Curry, his position was that due to this oversight, the Business 2 density is what would in fact be applied. What we're trying to do is to clarify that. This isn't seeking a higher density. This isn't necessarily a change to the zoning bylaw. It's seeking to clarify what very seemingly was an oversight when that was changed. My clients understandably want to understand what development may be allowed before they undertake the permitting on what will, in the end, likely be a $15 to $20 million project. A little bit about this site. It is 1.8 acres. It is split zoned, business redevelopment and business 2, and the same density should likely apply to both. In this case, the maximum density allowed would be about 76 rooms. My understanding is that 76 rooms is about the smallest feasible amount that a developer would consider for a new hotel, and that's in discussion both with this client and in speaking with another hotel developer previously. This development, in addition to the density, would be restricted by setbacks, by height limitations, by lot coverage limits. It would be subject to a significant permitting process, which in this case would include the Board of Selectmen, the Cape Cod Commission, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals. This thorough permitting process would ensure that the appropriate size, mass, density, and community character issues were all addressed, as well certainly as traffic. There would be a mixed-use component to this, which is required in business redevelopment. In addition, it's required by the Cape Cod Commission. But in addition to that, it would also comply with all the other business redevelopment regulations. The parking would be set back off of Main Street behind the building. There'd be a design emphasis on pedestrian access, on landscaping, and on enhancing the Main Street corridor. My clients are very aware of the missteps of other would-be hotel developers in this town. They're taking proactive steps to be forthright and transparent in this process. We've already met with the planning staff, with the assistant town planner, with the Cape Cod Commission, and we have requested a meeting with the Board of Selectmen as well. We feel this proposed new hotel is an excellent use of that location. It is near the Inner Harbor. It's in walking distance to restaurants and shops, as well as the new senior center and the rec center. Clarifying this bylaw is to understand what is possible is a necessary step in this process moving forward. For that reason, I would ask that you approve this as the Planning Board has recommended. Mr. Moderator, Mr. Burkhardt, in order for him to speak, he needs to be recognized, but do I need to have him added to the list first?
He's not a taxpayer or a resident of the town?
He is not.
Okay, so all those in favor of allowing the gentleman to speak signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority. Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator, for allowing me a chance to speak tonight. My name is Tim Burkhardt. I'm the Vice President of Lodging and Development for LaFrance Hospitality. We're a family-owned business, been in business for 60 years, based out of Westport, Massachusetts, not Connecticut. And we've identified Falmouth as a great opportunity, and we think it's underserved from a lodging perspective. You might be familiar with, we have properties, we focused in coastal communities, so we have property in Plymouth. You might be familiar with our project in Wareham, Westport. So we're local, and we understand the concerns, and we want to work with the town to come up with a project that's suitable. And I think our focus on the correct architecture and the presentation on Main Street, so it blends in with what's there at this time, I think is really important to this project. So I'd like to thank you for your consideration in this matter.
All set. Ms. Braga?
Thank you. While I certainly am sympathetic and appreciate the concerns that have been raised by several town meeting members about the sensitivity of really maintaining control over the way our community is structured, what it looks like, not just the aesthetic, but what that does to the quality of life. I also just remain keenly aware of the topic that we continuously come back to, which is the need for job creation, business development, bringing in new entities that help to revitalize our economy, bring jobs in for individuals, that help folks to stay in our community, make Falmouth their home. So I do believe that this doesn't give a carte blanche to the developer to come in and do whatever they see fit. There are still requirements, as we've heard Attorney Clara point out, and we're all well aware of the hoops that any developer would still need to jump through in order to create any development project in this community. So I think that it's something that should be given due consideration, because while change inevitably creates some new challenges, it also has, I think, the possibility of creating some positive impacts in our community, particularly on an economic basis for folks who live here.
Ms. Lichtenstein?
I have a request. I don't know about other town meeting members, but when we have a zoning bylaw change like this, I would like the planning board to give us a map that shows not only where the property is that is under consideration, but how many other properties might fall under that. So, I mean, I don't necessarily know when I make a decision, this might make open doors for other things. This sounds like a very good proposition. It sounds like a good idea for the town. But I honestly do not know how much other land this would alter. So I don't have that background. And I would ask that the petitioner in the future and that the planning board would do this for us so we could see what it might affect. Thank you.
Mr. Walker? Mr. Walker? Oh, Mr. Turkington, I'll add you to the list. Mr. Walker? Yeah, go ahead, microphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I'm voting no on this. More traffic? No. More demand on our limited water supply? No. More demand on our sewer system? No. More hotels? No. Affordable housing? Yes.
Ms. Connolly?
Annie Conley, Precinct 6. I'm going to vote for this. I think it's important that we all do a little gut check here. We talked last spring about what we didn't want here. In fact, we made an amendment on the floor, which was, on the fly. I did that, and it would be nice to get an update, but that's for another time. This is a small business owner with a presence in Massachusetts who wants to come to Falmouth. I mean, are we going to put a wall up? No, sorry, we don't want you here. This is the kind of place, this is the kind of family, this is the kind of business who is coming to us with respect, with a local attorney who wants to conduct business in our town. He has a significant permitting process ahead of himself. There'll be ample time and opportunity for folks to weigh in on design, density, traffic, etc. Please support this. This is good for Falmouth. This is what we're trying to get to have happen. Thank you.
Mr. Turkington?
Thank you. Eric Turkington, Precinct 1. When I first sort of got wind of this project, I looked at it pretty closely because I wanted to make sure we were not getting ourselves into another Marriott situation. To answer Mrs. Lichtenstein's very good question, the business redevelopment zone in this town basically runs from Gifford Street to the Heights corner. That's the area we're talking about, basically what we used to call East Main Street. And it's a very good place for hotels in this town. We have the Mariner Motel, which has been there for a long time. We have the Falmouth Inn, which has been there for a long time. We had the Seven Seas, which very fortunately is not there anymore. You know, I mean, that was a hotbed of drug dealing and fist fighting, and it was a very good thing that the Cape Cod Five did when they bought it and tore it down. So now we have the empty lot where that was, and we have the empty building where the Cape Cod Five was, and that's the site we're talking about. A couple of major differences between this and the Marriott. Marriott was 110 units. This is going to be 72 or 73. Abutters. The Marriott proposal had 12 homes on Lantern Lane for abutters. It had the Pondview condominiums for abutters, 13 units there. It had 3 apartments in Harriet Dugan's office for abutters. And they were building a building right up to the edge. So all those abutters, quite rightly, objected strenuously and blew it out of town. This location has no abutters, no residential abutters. It has the Island Queen parking lot, it has the laundromat, and it has the Hogs and Dogs store. So there will be no objection from abutters to this proposal. It also includes a mixed-use component, which is the whole point of business redevelopment. They can have a restaurant and a hotel. This is good stuff. I will make one very strong point to the developer, and it's the same point the selectmen made to the Marriott proposal, and if you don't mind, I'll just read from their letter that sunk the Marriott proposal, where they said the architectural features do not reflect the prevailing, unique, and cherished design values of Falmouth Village. This project could be mindlessly placed in any town and is inconsistent with and disrespectful of the existing community history and character. If these people want to put a hotel up in our town, they should remember that.
Okay, Mr. Neto.
Joe Neto, Precinct 9. I'd like to carry on from what Mr. Turkington said and go along that theme. That, first of all, let's look at this area. It's on Main Street, and that's where business belongs, on Main Street, not in the villages of the back roads of the villages. The BR district, as you just told you, goes from Gifford Street to Scranton Avenue. Some history. You guys stopped with the bank, but some of us who've been here a while longer will remember the Harbor Lounge, the Ground Round. I'll let Mr. Dufresne tell you what was there in the 1800s. But let's look at where we are. Eric just did a great job of telling you what the surrounding neighbors were. Another hotel right down the street, the Dairy Queen. Traffic? Wow, you questioned the traffic, but you had no problem putting the senior center there, right across the street. What's good for the goose, got to be good for the gander. Come on, folks. Septic? It goes into the sewer. That's been required. But you know the bottom line here? There's 2 more. Next, jobs. You know, it's the chicken and the egg. What comes first, the affordable housing or the job that brings the people there to earn the living? As I look at this audience, there's a lot of us that are in the same position as me. That's retired. I really don't need a job anymore. I'm all done. But the young people of this town need a job. And I think that this type of business creates jobs. Somebody makes the beds. I don't do that. And I don't have to apply for it. And I think we also, and this is the bottom line to me, is we have someone here who's come to see us. And I'm sure that if you want to put a business in the town of Falmouth, and as you go through the permitting process and the neighbors say, well, I don't like this, they're not going to fight it. You know, maybe we would have been better off if we had put the motel in the Liberty Green with a group that would probably have worked with us instead of what we have. And I heard affordable housing mentioned for this corner. Is that what we? No, please, come on. Let's look at where we are doing this. We're not supposed to talk about the area, but as Eric told you, the area for BR is it's a small area. You know, Gifford Street down to the Heights corner there. And because the petition is here, I think it's somebody that we can work with. And I think this is what belongs on Main Street. Some people who have an opinion, they're entitled to it, exactly the opposite. So I'd ask them, well, what do you want on this property? Okay, there's even a parking lot for cars going to the vineyard. That's another neighbor. Isn't that a great neighbor, a parking lot? Okay, thank you very much.
Ms. Williams?
Thank you. Cheryl Williams, Precinct 3. It troubles me deeply tonight on this particular article. It seems as though we are debating a project rather than rezoning. And I can't stress any more deeply what Leslie commented on, the fact that we need maps. This isn't just one location that we are talking about. We are talking about an entire area. So, you know, I have my own thoughts about whether or not this project would be well suited. And I guess I'm a little bit annoyed at our precinct meeting that this didn't come up when Mr. Clower did come as the petitioner and specifically talk to the issue of a specific project and the reason for the rezoning. So those are my comments.
Okay, Ms. Putnam.
Rebecca Putnam, Precinct 9. Through you, Mr. Moderator, I'd like to ask a couple of questions of the Planning Board Chair, please, on this rezoning.
Through the chair.
First, if this is rezoned as being asked, the permitting process for this particular property, is there going to always be on any property rezoned to this someone approving, or a board, particular board approving applicants and the design and what it's going to look like?
Mr. Fox.
Yes, this is what used to be the B2 zone. It is in all our main streets. It's where all our stores are. It's on our highways. That's where the zone is. And it will require a special permit. It has to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. It has to go through design review. We reduced the lot coverage from when it was B2, it had a 60% lot coverage. We reduced to 40% lot coverage. It requires 20% more open space, and it requires all the parking to be in front and the behind and the sides and the buildings to be moved up more like Main Street to have a walking connection to Main Street. This is part of an overall vision to connect Main Street to the harbor. With the new rotary going in, it's been a plan that's been in place since 2004, and the only reason why we haven't made the economy fell apart, nothing happened for a long time. But it has been greatly reduced in the lot coverage. A 20% change in lot coverage is huge. So, and the parking is all in the back, and to answer your question specifically, it is a special permit, and it does go through design review. And special permit has 242-16, a neighborhood character, all the things that the zoning board does to have the neighbors come in and make sure it fits. So, in our opinion, this is what business redevelopment was set up for in 2004, and we think it fits.
Ms. Putnam.
Thank you. So folks, what you just heard is that we're reducing the amount of building that can be put in this rezoning, which should be a good thing.
Well, no.
He said a reduction of 20%.
That's already been done. Everyone talks about the zoning change. The zoning was changed in 2004. It's already done. This is just a definition of the amount of hotel rooms that are going into it. We're not rezoning this area. It is rezoned. It's business redevelopment, and it was done in 2004. The reduction was done then. It's already happened. So everyone calling for these maps and everything in rezoning, it was done more than 10 years ago. It's already happened. So what they're talking about, the density was reduced by 20% on the lot coverage issue. That happened in 2004. So what this article is talking about is the hotel room definition, saying that in B2, we want to take the same standard that was there and put it on in business redevelopment. But that redevelopment land has already been reduced by 20% on lot coverage, where B2 can go to 60% between buildings and paving. So it's not being rezoned. It's just a change of a component in the zoning. And that's the conversation was going in the wrong way. We already decided this in 2004.
Ms. Putnam.
So I think he just kind of confused me even more here. So
we're not rezoning it.
Okay. Mr. Fox.
So you're asking for a clarification of how much density can go into this particular area. Is that correct?
Kevin, you want to answer that? He's the one asking for it.
Ms. Putnam, just what we're trying to do is clarify the density allowed for commercial accommodations. Right now, it is simply not specified in the bylaw because when it was changed in 2004, the corresponding section 240-67C wasn't changed at all to reflect the fact that business redevelopment now exists. So we just want to understand what it is.
Sorry, let me just interrupt. Currently, what's the density for this parcel, for this business redesign? What is the exact density?
That's a great question.
I can tell you what is defined is the lot coverage. And the lot coverage is a total of 40%. It used to be 60, but we changed it to 40.
So you're not asking us to make it 60% again, are you?
No.
So you're asking us to keep it at
Whoa,
40?
whoa, whoa, whoa. This is getting out of hand. Ask a specific question. He'll give you an answer, and then you're going to...
I guess I'm trying to... I think most of us are a little confused as to what it is that you want, but...
They are trying to define something that they didn't define when we rezoned in 2004. So it's dealing with definitions within the zone that's already been placed that you all voted on by 2/3 in 2004. Mr. Scherer.
Dan Shearer, Precinct 6. I heard a minute ago we don't need a hotel in this area. I traveled for a living 3 nights a week for 33 years. And I would not stay in a hotel that's in Falmouth now. We need a hotel. But turning down the Marriott was one of the biggest mistakes we made. I think we could have worked with, wait a minute, I'm talking. I think we could have worked with them on the design a little bit more and worked, but what we're going to get instead is twice as bad or 3 times as bad. But I don't care. I'm not talking about this location, this hotel, but we need one. Salesmen who come, to this area, 12 months a year. We've got some of the best restaurants here. We got the best entertainment, and all of a sudden, they go to Hyannis. And that's where your salesmen go. And our Main Street lives on food, and it slows down in the winter. Salespeople do not come here on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays because dealers in this area don't want to see them on Friday or Monday because it's too much of a business. So let's have a place that's really nice with all the modern, conveniences, the electronics, and so forth, and try and get a group of people who sometimes are on expense accounts, I never was, but who will spend money in the town 12 months a year. Thank you.
Ms. Vogel.
We all know that Falmouth is a nice place to live, but I would like to see this article be a first step in making it also a nice place to do business. Let's make it more welcoming. Let's make it so that we provide more jobs so our young people can stay. I think that a responsible business like this coming in tonight, they're showing that they are conscientious. I don't know them, but they're here, they're conscientious. They want to make sure that they go through this whole process right. They want to spend $15 to $20 million in our community, and that investment is going to be here, and it's going to have a multiplying effect for many years. And the visitors that come and go to our shops and buy our goods and use our services, please vote yes.
Mr. Callahan? Mr. Callahan? Do I have the name wrong? Is Mr. Callahan? Oh, McDonald, I'm sorry. I do have the name wrong. Sorry.
Another Irishman. Dave McDonald, Precinct 3. I'd like to move this to vote, please.
Okay. The question comes on moving the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. And the chair says the ayes have it by a 2/3 majority, and discussion is closed. The question will come on the main motion. This requires a 2/3 vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The chair says the ayes have it by a 2/3. Is there a challenge to the chair? Bring a slide up. Okay, the roll call machine is open. All those in favor signify by pressing 1A. All those opposed signify by pressing 2B. It's seven. It's 7 unless I just decide to do it, which I did because it's 2/3. So it's 7 in the rules, or I can do whatever I want, and I just did it. So we just did it. It's, by the way, that's called by call of the chair. By call of the chair, it's bedtime. By a count of vote of 130 in favor and 25 opposed, the necessary 2/3 is achieved, and the article passes. Otherwise known as the opinion of the chair stands. Article 39. Article 39, Board of Selectmen for the main motion.
That the town vote to recommend Article 39 as printed.
As printed, this is to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition the Massachusetts General Court for legislation in accordance with Article 97 of the Constitution dealing with the management of land and conservation restrictions at the Tony Andrews Farm. We held this because we initially thought we needed a new main motion. Mr.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Peter Johnson Staub, Assistant Town Manager. This article relates to the Andrews Farm purchase. There is no change to the article as printed in the warrant, but we do have an update to the explanation as printed in the warrant. So you can literally or figuratively cross out the last sentence of the explanation in your warrant book. The special legislation we seek to file would authorize the town to award a lease or license for management of the farm property without having to petition the state legislature for approval. This article would also allow for minor adjustments in the use of the property within the scope of the original town meeting vote to acquire the property, as further detailed in the conservation restriction filed with the Executive Office of Environmental Affairs. I want to emphasize that the allowed uses for the farm property will remain agriculture and open space passive recreation. This article does not allow the Board of Selectmen or CONCOM or the Agricultural Commission to change that, except through a vote of the town meeting, and approval of the state legislature. We simply seek the authority to award leases for management of the farm without having to get approval from the state each time the lease comes up for renewal. Thank you.
Okay, any discussion on Article 39? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion as printed. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 43, this is a Community Preservation Committee article dealing with the Nobska Lightkeeper's House. Main motion.
Mr. Moderator, Russ Robbins, Precinct 6, Chairman of the Community Preservation Committee. I move Article 43 as recommended.
Okay, the main motion as recommended. Someone in the center held this. Yeah. Okay. Microphone, please. Oh, you want to come up front? Okay, yeah, you can do that.
Joe LeMay, Precinct 9. I wish to amend the motion. And I'm a freshman, so tell me how I do this.
Okay. You're a town meeting member, new town meeting member?
New town meeting member.
Okay. So, yeah, just make the motion and then give us a copy in writing. But actually, so there's very limited amendments allowed under statute. So you can reduce. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, if you can follow me in your books. My amendment that I propose.
Well, let me take a peek first. After the housekeeper said the phrase historically accurate. Okay, so on the first section, sum of money is in the article, not in the motion that's on the floor. In the second section, defining, replace it with the phrase, replace. The Community Preservation Committee has grant applications, and the scope of work is within the grant application. It's not in the authorization by town meeting. We're authorizing to spend the money on the project that's been gone through the statutory grant process that the Community Preservation Committee goes through. And the third part, add lighthouse to historic accuracy. Yeah, and then the idea that we're going to require voluntary contributions to pay over a certain limit is beyond the scope. So the amendment would be beyond the scope of a community preservation article.
Well, the reason I wanted to do this is because...
Which you can't by law.
Well, I'm just saying what the intent is that the work I put in that amendment is required to be done now. The rest of the work I want to hold off on before, so we can see a longer-term presentation on the total cost of the project. But we do have to replace the roof this year, there's no doubt.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's my intent.
Okay. So I didn't look at the grant application. I don't know what the scope of work is within the grant application.
It included the roof and lots of other things.
Okay. Do you want to address that concern, Dole?
Well, he hasn't seen this, so
I'm not sure what I'm...
Okay. He hasn't seen what I've got here.
Yeah,
Nobody's seen it.
So ask a specific question to the Community Preservation Committee that they can then answer. But we cannot put any of this in a motion. You either vote yes, no, or you reduce the amount of money. That's all we can do by law on a community preservation article at town meeting.
Well, then I would reduce the amount of money to $20,000 in the explanation section.
So you want to strike $507,017 and replace it with $20,000?
Yes.
And that's the cost of the roof is $20,000?
I can only guess the cost of the roof. If we want to replace the $20,000 with a phrase of the cost of the roof would be acceptable to me.
Okay, so there's an amendment to strike $507,017 from the main motion and insert $20,000 in its place. Discussion on that amendment? Question will come on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed? It's the opinion of the chairs that the noes have it by a majority and the amendment does not pass. Further discussion on Article 43? Yeah. Go ahead. Do you want to speak on the main motion?
My problem with this is that we have an open-ended expenditure stream on this lighthouse, and I've never seen a presentation, say like a 5-year plan of all the projects that might be expected at this property and what the total amount we're going to be called to allocate. A year ago, we allocated $264,000 to repair and paint the lighthouse tower. Here we have an application for $507,000 of our taxpayers' money to do a first phase of the renovation of the lightkeeper's house. I don't know if there's a second phase planned. I don't know what other projects are there. There's a rubble field to the north of the lightkeeper's house. That's going to require a lot of work. The parking lot, if you've ever parked there, it's dangerous to park. It's really dangerous to either cross the road or to pull out because the sight lines are terrible. So I'm looking at, I don't know, $700,000 for a new parking lot. I've never seen any future plans. Before I put any more of my taxpayers' money into this project, I want to see a beautiful presentation by the CPC, by the Friends of Nobsco Light, on their total plans, what it's going to give us, what it's going to cost us. I spent an hour at the site on Friday and reviewed a lot of the facility. The roof does need to be replaced this year. We should not leave that roof leaking into the structure. We could probably paint the trim this year and then be done for this year and wait for a presentation of the total cost of the project before we go any further. That's what my amendment was trying to do, but apparently I'm too much of a freshman to know how to do a proper amendment. So that's what I want to do, is fix the roof with authentic Coast Guard red roof shingles and come back in November or in April or whenever it's appropriate and get an idea of what we're in for. I don't want to be nickel and dimed at $300,000 now, $500,000 later, another $200,000 over the years, and find out at the end we're at $3 million to renovate this lighthouse. I don't know what these numbers are.
Okay, would the gentleman restate his name and precinct again? I'm sorry.
Yes, LeMay, Precinct 9.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Schneider?
Barbara Schneider, Precinct 4, former chair of the Community Preservation. I'm just going to say to all of you that while these are concerns that somebody might have, community preservation long ago, in the very early formative years, wisely chose as a policy not to start looking at promising ahead, and that because money comes in on an annual basis, state match comes in on an annual basis, money from the town comes in on an annual basis, they chose to always look at what projects were in front of you for a given round and then to weigh them against the money that would be had. And the only money that gets set aside for future is money that goes into those funds that are in those categories, okay, which are historic, open space, and, housing, thank you. So while somebody might think that community preservation has this big game plan and that they're hiding it or that they purposely aren't bringing it to town meeting, it would be behoove all of us to be glad that we look at this year to year, knowing our dollars and knowing the projects that are ahead that year. And I would hope you would all understand that that works well for all of us.
Ms. Putnam?
Rebecca Putnam, Precinct 9. We receive this money, we get the matches, we have to spend it. This is not coming out of our, well, directly, kind of, sort of, out of our tax dollars. This is state-matched money. We have to spend X number of dollars on historic projects. We don't get many historic projects. Knobska Lighthouse is probably the best historic project I've ever seen come before us for CPC funds. It is the pillar of Falmouth. It is what everybody knows, everybody sees, everybody recognizes. So I would really hope that you all vote yes on this, and I hope somebody moves the question.
The question will come on the main motion, Article 43, as recommended by the Community Preservation Committee. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it by a majority. Article 44, Mr. Chairman, for the main motion.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 44 as recommended.
As recommended, this is to appropriate a sum of $30,000 from the Historic Preservation Reserve to the Falmouth Historical Commission to conduct Phase 2 of the townwide inventory of historical resources. Mr. Herbst.
Ralph Herbst, Precinct 8. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. I have an amendment that I would like to propose to this article. I'd like to remind the town meeting members that the Community Preservation Committee is made up of 9 members, 4 at-large, 1 planning board, 1 historic, 1 recreation, 1 housing, and 1 Concom. My amendment, I'll place before you on the screen. And this would be inserted after the word Phase 2 of the article, which would be the 3rd line down. You'll see Phase 2, just before where it says to determine. So my amendment, I drafted it with the town attorney, and it reads as, provided, however, that the Falmouth Historical Commission shall ensure this inventory will assist the Community Preservation Committee in future historical applications by providing a representative to the Community Preservation Committee as set forth in the general laws of the state and also the Community Preservation Act and our bylaw here in Falmouth. For the last 2 years, the Historical Commission has not provided a representative to the Community Preservation Committee. Yeah. They are here asking for money for one of their projects. I would like to read to you the requirements for them to provide a member to the Community Preservation Committee. The state legislation says that the town accepts certain paragraphs, shall establish by ordinance or bylaw a Community Preservation Committee. The committee shall include additional members plus 1 member of the Historical Commission. The town bylaw says, under membership of the Community Preservation Committee, there is hereby established a Community Preservation Committee. The composition of the committee shall be as follows, several others, and then it comes to 1 member of the Historical Commission as designated by the said commission. I personally made a presentation to the Historical Commission several months ago and pointed out to them how important they are to the town, how important they are to the Community Preservation Committee, of which I was a member for 10 years and chairman for 1 year, and that it was important for them to provide a representative to the Community Preservation Committee as required by law. I also pointed out that we, those of us on the Community Preservation Committee who are not that astute in historical rules and regulations, that we always learned from the previous members from the Historical Commission. We learned
Okay,
about...
Mr. Herbst, we're at the 4 minutes.
I'm sorry?
You're at your 4 minutes.
That's fine, okay. I'll conclude just that I hope that you'll support this, and I'll remain up here if there's any questions.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah, it should be Article 44. Sorry. It's Article 44, not Article 43. So discussion, Ms. CUNY, on this amendment? Okay, Ms. CUNY. Oh, sure. Yeah.
Sandra CUNY, Vice Chair of the Community Preservation Committee. I understand what Ralph is trying to do, and it has been very disappointing that we don't have someone from the Historical Commission on the present board of the CPC, and we are in the works of trying to get somebody to volunteer their time to do this. This is a volunteer job. So I am not in favor of this amendment because I do not want to put a stipulation on a historic article that comes before you for this person. The other 8 members of the Community Preservation Committee have voted to support the article, and so I just hope you do not support the amendment and let us work with continuing to try to get somebody from the Historical Commission to step forward. Thank you very much.
Ms. Robbins.
Just so you know, Ralph, that Ed Haddad has reached out to me, got an email last week from him, and one of the members of the Historic Commission has asked to meet with me about becoming that member. So I'm assuming by next week, I think we'll have this straightened out, and you know, I can't thank you guys enough for putting a little pressure on. I think it's helped, so. So I really don't feel that this is really necessary. So I don't think this is necessary, this particular amendment.
Well, for 2 years, they didn't feel as though they could provide a member. I would like to point out to you that there are 5 members on the Historical Commission. They meet once a month. When I was on the planning board for 14 years, we used to meet at least 3 times a month. And also, I represented the planning board for 10 years on the Community Preservation Committee, of which we met twice.
Mr. Herbst, I think the point's been made. The Historical Commission needs to comply with law. One of those 5 members has got to step up, okay? That's where we're at. The gentlewoman in the back? Yeah. No, with a microphone, please.
Nicole Goldman, Vice Chair of the Historical Commission. Mr. Robbins is correct. We've entered into conversations, and just to keep the record clear, over the past 2 years, we have made numerous proposals on how to get a volunteer to do additional volunteer work on the CPC. The CPC is a lot of work, as is the Historical Commission, and we have a lot of professionals on our board, which makes us very experienced, but it also limits our time. So with respect, we ask your indulgence in turning down this amendment and allowing us to continue our process of working with the CPC in a professional and productive manner.
Okay, the question will come on the amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. And the chairs at the noes have it by a majority, and the amendment does not pass. Any further discussion on the main motion? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no.
No.
The ayes have it by a majority. Article 45, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 45 as recommended.
As recommended, this is to appropriate from the Community Preservation Fund estimated revenues the sum of $137,550 for the purpose of funding community preservation administrative expenses. I had someone in the right section that held this the first night. No? Okay, yep, Mr. Herbst.
Yeah, I had two question. The administrative expenses are limited to 5%. Can you tell me, Mr. Robbins, what percentage this is?
One more time.
What percentage is this? What percentage is this?
This is 4.1%.
4.1%, okay, thank you. And also, does the administrative expenses here cover 5 days of coverage in the office?
No, it does not. This is part-time, 20 hours.
Can you tell me why?
Because that's what the board was comfortable. We like this setup, and I think we voted 3 times to maintain this. We asked the town to hold off appointing a full-time administrator because we like the setup we had, and that's why we did it.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further discussion on Article 45? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion as recommended. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. Article 48, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Moderator, I move Article 48 as recommended, with an amendment to the recommendation.
Okay. What's different? What's different?
Change the name of the account.
The name of the account? Okay. Community preservation revenues to the open space. Space reserve fund. That's the only change, it's just the, okay. Okay, the main motion is as recommended in striking land bank debt and inserting in its place open space.
Thank you.
We're just getting the account name correct. That's the main motion. Mr. Neto held this one.
Joe Neto, Precinct 9. Correct, Mr. Moderator, I held the article because I thought it was written wrong. And obviously it is because they have an amendment, so thank you very much. We do it right, and let's get out of here. Bye-bye.
Any further discussion on Article 48? Hearing none, the question will come on the main motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, unanimous. So at this town meeting, we spent $140,108,648. I would recognize the chairman of the Board of Selectmen for announcement of the next annual town meeting.
Mr. Moderator, the fall town meeting will be set for Tuesday, November 13th.
Tuesday, November 13th, because Monday the 12th is an observed holiday for Veterans Day. So we'll be coming in on Tuesday. At this time, before we adjourn the meeting, our Finance Committee Chairwoman is stepping down at the end of this town meeting. So Wendy, we'd like to thank you for all of your hard work on the Finance Committee and your willingness to continue to serve as a member of the committee. The chair will entertain a motion to absolve the meeting. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. This meeting is dissolved. Don't forget to turn your clickers in on the way out.
Falmouth Community Television's coverage of town meeting is sponsored by the following corporate underwriters. Holiday Inn Falmouth opened year-round for your business and travel needs. We provide a full restaurant and accommodations for banquets, holiday parties, weddings, corporate events, seminars, and more. Featuring KC Bar and Grill, where guests or Falmouth residents can enjoy our selection of local craft beers, cocktails, and a variety of pub food from our menu. Holiday Inn Falmouth, your home away from home.
Welcome to the Falmouth Chamber of Commerce.
The Falmouth Chamber is dedicated to working on behalf of our members to make Falmouth a better place to live, work, and conduct business. We are committed to developing the economic, cultural, educational, and civic interests of our community and welcome the support from all organizations to achieve our combined goals. Whether you call Falmouth home, are a summer resident, or a visitor, we hope you take advantage of all that the Chamber has to offer.
Hi, I'm Pat Thatcher.
And I'm Margaret Gifford, and we're from Sotheby's International Realty.
And you know, Margaret, I think the word that best describes this real estate market this year is opportunistic.
I think that's a great word to describe what the real estate market's doing now.
I think it is also, and that says if you're a seller, by golly, get your house ready correctly.
And if you're a buyer, do your homework.
So if you want to be part of this opportunistic real estate market, jump
on that horse.
Carlson Printing for all your printing needs. 508-548-7303 or toll free at 1-800-696-7303. Our email address is carlsonprinting@aol.com. Carlson Printing for all your printing needs.
Hosting services for fctv.org are provided by Meganet Communications. Meganet offers a wide array of internet services including Mega Backup Cloud Service, server colocation, T1, fiber, Metro Ethernet, as well as telephone services such as hosted PBX and digital voice. Their number one goal is to keep your communications network up and running and allow you to focus on growing your business. 877-634-2638 or meganet.net. Additional funding and support provided by the following corporate sponsors. In on the Sound, located at 313 Grand Avenue in Falmouth Heights, offering luxurious accommodations, gourmet breakfasts, and spectacular ocean views. In on the Sound, an active participant in community affairs since 2006.
Barrett Plumbing and Heating offers expert plumbing, heating, and air conditioning services to all our residential and commercial customers on Cape Cod and surrounding area. We are a full-service plumbing specialist offering professional workmanship to suit your budget. Whatever your heating or plumbing need, you can always count on a job that's done right.
Dogs and Hogs, family owned and operated for over 5 years. Our slow smoke barbecue is available for dine-in, pickup, or catering. We also serve beer and wine, have gluten-free options, and lobster rolls, just in time for summer.
RJ's Variety and Liquor, family owned and operated for 15 years. We have a variety of beer, wine, and liquor, local frozen stuffed quahogs, local frozen pizza snacks, and more. RJ's Variety and Liquor, 174 Sandwich Road, T-Ticket. The attorneys at Oppenheim & Nickerson LLP have provided legal services in Falmouth for over 36 years. We advocate for our clients and work to provide quality representation in the areas of business and corporate law, real estate law, estate planning, and estate administration. 508-548-8255.
We at Falmouth Fish believe there is nothing better than a fresh piece of fish, direct from the waters of Cape Cod in New England. Nothing beats waking up at 4 a.m. to search out the highest quality seafood from the best fishermen in the world.
7 Stars Academy, offering martial arts and Tai Chi. Training at 7 Stars Academy can transform your life. It's amazing to see the positive impact it has on our students. Classes for adults and children of all ages. Confidence, not conflict, at 7 Stars Academy of Martial Arts.
After nearly 10 years in business, the Green Shuttle has been your choice to get to and from area airports. But did you know they also offer trips to Boston and Providence, medical appointments, theater, dinner, or tours? The Green Shuttle does it all, with no wait time, no parking costs, and no hidden fees. Ride easy with Green Shuttle. Hamilton Tree and Landscape has been proudly serving Falmouth and the Upper Cape since 1978. Our newest location on Route 151 is now open for all landscaping and tree concerns. Appreciating your property is our motto as we continue to keep your tree and landscaping needs our top priority. At A&A Paving, we believe in providing customers with quality products supported by excellent service. We provide commercial and residential seal coating, asphalt paving, and repair services for Cape Cod and southeastern Mass. A&A Paving, 508-540-4944.
Calfee Insurance, offering insurance policies for your car, home, business, life, and disability. Calfee cares about all your insurance needs. 508-540-2601 and online at calfeeinsurance.com.
Thomas J. Bunker and Jeffrey E. Reither are BSS Design, providing land surveying and civil engineering in Falmouth since 1987. Licensed and fully insured, they're located on Catherine Lee Bates Road, and their phone number is 540-8805.
Wild Harbor General Store, located in historic North Falmouth Village, providing quality goods and services for 170 years. Continuing to make history with our support of FCTV's coverage of Falmouth Town Meeting.
Liam McGuire's Irish Pub. With a newly renovated dining room, it's what an Irish pub should be. Main Street, downtown Falmouth. Bayside Kitchen and Bath at 419 Palmer Avenue in Falmouth, where design and installation professionals work closely with homeowners, architects, and builders, offering a full range of cabinetry, countertops, and faucets. Bayside Kitchen and Bath, returning you to beautiful spaces.
Eastman's has been Falmouth's hardware store since 1913. With a newly added retail space providing kitchen accessory and gourmet foods, our friendly staff is available to assist you with your hardware and kitchen needs. 508-540-0407.
Carpet Barn, Carpet One Home Showcase, a local family-owned business offering all your premier carpet and flooring needs. They also feature tile and vinyl floors, area rugs, window treatments, and kitchen and bathroom cabinetry, serving you at 4 convenient locations. Cavosa Disposal is proud to provide trash removal, recycling, and composting to local businesses in Falmouth and surrounding communities. Cavosa Disposal would like to thank its customers in Falmouth. Cavosa Disposal, 508-563-5070. Family owned since 1919, at Puritan Cape Cod you'll find the latest in men's and women's clothing, as well as ski and tennis equipment and much more. Located on Main Street, Falmouth, and in Chatham, Mashpee, and Hyannis. Puritan Cape Cod, 199 Main Street, Falmouth, and online at puritancapecod.com.
FCTV is also supported by the following businesses and organizations.
Partners Technology, Voice and Data Solutions, 781-930-5000. Waquoit Congregational Church, 508-548-5269. Barnes Custom Builders, 774-487-2129. Annie Hart-Cool, Global Real Estate Advisor, Sotheby's International Realty, 508-868-0664. St. Elizabeth Seton Church, 508-563-7770. Vincent Associates, 159 Main Street, Town Hall Square, 508-548-6500. Falmouth Flag Day 5K, Falmouth Education Foundation 2018. Soares Flower Garden Nursery, Design, Construction, and Maintenance, 508-548-5288. M. Duffany Builders, 508-540-3625. The Wood Lumber Company, 81 Locust Street, 508-548-3154. Danny's Barbershop in East Falmouth, 508-548-6013. Carl F. Cavosa Excavating Incorporated, 508-563-5530. Paul's Precision Automotive Repair, 464 Main Street, 508-548-3164. David Rogers Electric, residential, commercial, industrial, TV studio, and motion picture, 508-564-7507. Murray and McDonald Insurance, 1-800-800-8990. Davy Tree Expert Company, 508-548-2662. Andy's Barber Shop in the Falmouth Plaza. Chapman Colin Gleason, 508-540-4172. Hanush Jewelers, 508-548-9107. Mahoney's Garden Center, 508-548-4842. The Cape Cod 5, 668 Main Street, 508-457-5252. The Cooperative Bank of Cape Cod, 469 Main Street, 508-495-5010. Falmouth Chimney Sweep, 508-540-0458. Martha's Vineyard Savings Bank, 508-627-4266. VIPS of Falmouth, Volunteers in Public Schools, 508-548-1621. Cape Cod Cleaning, 508-563-7622. Steve's Pizzeria and More, 508-457-9454. FCTV also thanks the following: Shaw's, Roach Brothers, Stop and Shop, and Windfall Market.